So I spent a couple talks in session talking about uh, practice through relationships, and relationship in this sense is not just lovers, it's relationship with other people. And it came out of an article, or Tricycle sent out a thing about a few articles about practicing within relationships. And there were 2 points, one by Norm Fisher, that in fact, Zen enlightenment does come out of relationships. That I don't know, sometimes we have an idea of sitting alone all by ourselves on a mountain is what Zen practice is, but in fact, it's not at all. From the beginning of Zen, but also Buddhism, there's always been the teacher-student relationship as primary in terms of waking up with another person, and also the Sangha, practicing with our Dharma siblings. And Norm just points that out, that we're not a solitary practice, although there's early Zen, maybe still in some places, discourages having a lover, sexual relationships, and even Dogen discouraged having a best friend. He didn't discourage friendship, he just discouraged like exclusive friendship. But the koans are almost completely about 2 or more people. Usually, most of the koans are teacher-student, and that transmission from teacher to student. And there's some koans that are a group, like whose eyebrows is it? Somebody's eyebrows, Wigan, or oh no, it's not going to come up. I think it's Wigan. It's Wigan's eyebrows. That's a koan. If you've been around a while, you've probably heard me talk about it, because I always talk about it at the end of Ongo. But it's a bunch of folks at the end of Ongo who get together to talk about how that Ongo went, and it's an exchange of their understanding with each other, so that relationship of Dharma siblings, those of us who practice together, which is all of us, that interacting with each other can be a place of waking up. And then the other relation, how to wake up through relationship, is this article by a Tibetan master who I don't know. And he points out that the wealth in information that a relationship brings about our neuroses, that like initially, and it, again, any kind of relationship, we meet someone and it's just like I just found the perfect person, and we complete each other's sentences, and we like the same movies, and we stayed up all night talking. And then little by little, when there's a close relationship, we start to notice each other's neuroses, and many times end the relationship. But he points out what a wonderful ground that is. He calls it the haunted ground for practice, because as you know, when the projection and how the shadow, the acts and relationships, there's a lot to learn about that little self, that neurotic self, which is basically, from a Buddhist standpoint, whenever we see ourselves as separate, that's, maybe don't use the word neurotic, that's delusional. And so when we are in difficulty in relationship, we're seeing ourselves as separate. So to dig into that with practice is a wonderful practice. And talking about this, I said, there's very few koans about just one person. But there is one about one person that I think kind of makes a point, which is over here. It's this is Wiegand, calls himself master. Every day, Master Wiegand used to call to himself, master, and would answer, yes. Again, he would call, thoroughly awake, and he would answer, yes, yes. Don't be deceived by others, any day or any time. No, no. So see, there's just one person in this koan, Wiegand, Master Wiegand. And he calls out master, and he answers himself. So who's the master? Who's Buddha? I think there's a center that I was talking to someone about their children's program, but one of the things they do is who's Buddha? Who's Buddha? And then they say, look in the mirror, look in the mirror. There's Buddha. So master, yes. Each of us, and whatever you think Buddha is, perfect. I mean, you don't have to use the word Buddha if that true self, spirit, God, whatever word you want to use, each of us is that. And then he says, don't be deceived by others. And that's the one that's maybe a little hard to understand. What does that mean? Don't be deceived by others. It means don't be deceived by thinking there are others. I mean, it could mean other things. For the purpose of this talk. So of course, there's just one person in this koan. That person is Buddha. And that's you. And don't be deceived in thinking that the other people in our life are not me. That there's a separation between myself and others. And that goes back to this whole point of how useful it is for practice, what a great practice it is to practice with others. And of course, our Dharma siblings and our teachers and and people who have some practice background, but also everybody's Buddha. One person told me they just love Maizumi Roshi. Why do you like Maizumi Roshi so much? And he said, when he looks at me, I can tell he sees Buddha. He looks at me like I'm Buddha. So this is something I'm practicing now, seeing everyone as Buddha. And this doesn't mean, I mean, this is the intricacy of Zen practice, is relative and absolute. From the absolute standpoint, everyone is Buddha. From the relative standpoint, there is wrong action, there is justice, there is, so I'm not saying just never complain, never correct. That's crazy, obviously crazy, but also to see this person who's causing me agitation or causing me harm is Buddha. And so that was the message. And practicing with that, practicing with our projections, with our neuroses, is a wonderful way to wake up. And that connection, that true connection, that love, seeing that is a wonderful way to wake up. I talked about this movie about this guy who just completely immersed in fame and fortune and money and work. And but once a year he wakes up for a day, and that's kind of the gimmick. But what wakes him up is the love of his wife and daughter, even though he treats them terribly. But that love still causes him to wake up once in a while. So that was what I was talking about. And I am so talked out. Everybody else was in silence for session, and I just talked all the time. So let me let you talk. If you have any comments or questions or whatever, please do.